All right, well, thank you all very much for being here on this Wednesday before Earth Day. Oops, I'm just losing my microphone. Okay, I have to remember where it is. All right, we'll start with the verse of the Kesa. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Gata of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Falling apart tonight. Please stand. Three vows. The fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present. It fills our sacred space, guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with virtue, mindfulness, and wisdom. We offer it on behalf of all beings. You can be seated. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for refuge. Being one with the Buddha, I resolve that each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for refuge. Being one with the Dharma, the gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. The goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for refuge. Being one with the Sangha, in the spirit of universal fellowship, and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. So we'll do a guided meditation tonight, about 20 minutes. As the bell fades, just take a few deep breaths. Let your abdominal muscles be nice and relaxed so your belly can expand and contract. Lungs fill and empty completely with each breath. And after a few deep breaths, just let your breath settle into a comfortable rhythm. Nothing special, just breathing naturally, smoothly, in a relaxed way. And take a moment or two just to scan your body. Notice if there's any tightness in your shoulders. If so, just let them settle down, coming down away from your ears, settling in a grounded way. Your back supporting itself. And we'll do a breath meditation tonight, but we'll begin by developing an intention for goodwill, first for ourselves and then others. So as you exhale, just letting this phrase ride silently on your breath, as if emerging from your heart, may I be happy. And this is a sense of well-being that's found in the present moment, that comes from within. It's not dependent on externals. It's not something you have to strive for. Simply now, as you're breathing out, being happy. May I be free from animosity. If any ill will toward anyone comes into your awareness as you're meditating, just set that aside, release it, let it pass. Give yourself freedom from anger, hatred, animosity. May I be free from stress and affliction. Whatever comes into your awareness, you can let it go or let it be. There's no need to push anything away. No need to cling to anything. Let go, let be. And if we don't nurture stress, we don't create affliction. May I be free from stress and affliction. May I look after myself with ease. When the mind wanders away from the object of meditation, just calmly, with compassion for yourself, release whatever it's been hooked onto and just return to your breath. Looking after yourself with ease. And then extending this wish for happiness to all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from animosity. May all beings be free from stress and affliction. May all beings look after themselves with ease. And now just settle your attention on the breath at the tip of your nose or at the pit of your stomach, whichever is easier for you to stay aware of the breath. And if you need to anchor your attention on the breath, you can note each breath in, out, or rising, falling. Or if you like, you can count your breaths when you breathe in. Just take a deep breath. When you breathe out, count 1, and try to hold the count for the whole exhalation. And count the breaths up to 10, and then start over. So the idea is to be aware of each breath, not missing a single one. And of course, you'll get distracted, and that's okay. Just let go of the distraction. Come back to the breath. And then begin to notice each breath, following it all the way in and all the way out. Notice that the in-breath begins, it continues. There's a feeling of fullness. The out-breath begins, it continues. There's a feeling of emptiness. Follow each breath in this way. If something comes into your awareness while you're meditating on the breath, you can let it pass, let it go, or let it be. Just like we talked about in the beginning of the meditation. Sounds come and go. There's no need to hold on to anything, push anything away. Thoughts arise, and that's okay. Just let them go. If you notice that one has hooked you, just stop the storyline and come back to the breath. Physical sensations, sometimes we have to just let them be. Don't identify with something as pain, your pain. Physical sensations are pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And that's it. The body is not the self. Sensations are not mine. Follow each breath. And then you can begin to follow the breath continuously. The end of one breath is the beginning of the next. If you find you feel agitated, you can calm your breath. It's very hard to calm the mind. But if we stay aware of the breath and we let the breath become calm, the mind will also become calm. Notice how it feels in the body to breathe. The breathing should be relaxed. Belly remains soft. And if it's helpful, as you breathe out, you can think, may my breath become calm. The bell will ring twice to end the meditation. When it rings the first time, just take a deep breath. And you can bring your hands together in front of your heart in Gasho if you like to do that. And when it rings the second time, you can bow. And just take a moment just to be present. Be aware of where you are, your surroundings, and then leave meditation. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now. In reciting the sutras, hearing the Dharma, and training the mind, great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the peace of to all ancestors of this Sangha and all beings in the Dharma world. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. Let their vows be fully realized, and may they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, and those ministering to the sick and the grieving. We pray for those suffering from violence, for the oppressed, for the imprisoned, and for all refugees. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabbe sata sadahantu avera sukha jivino katang punya phalang maihang sabbe bhagi bhavantu te. May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings springing from the good I have done. So Friday is Earth Day. And so I was thinking about that. And there's a book by Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh on love letters from the earth. And somebody mentioned that this morning. I have a little meditation team that meets staff members and faculty members at Stetson. And somebody said something about that. And so, and it reminded me it's a really kind of neat thing. So I want to read you one of these love letters to the earth. Dear Mother Earth, Each morning when I wake up, you offer me 24 brand new hours to cherish and enjoy your beauty. You gave birth to every miraculous form of life. Your children include the clear lake, the green pine, the pink cloud, the snow-capped mountaintop, the fragrant forest, the white crane, the golden deer, the extraordinary caterpillar, and every brilliant mathematician, skilled artisan, and gifted architect. You are the greatest mathematician, the most accomplished artisan, and the most talented architect of all. The simple branch of cherry blossoms, the shell of a snail, and the wing of a bat all bear witness to this amazing truth. My deep wish is to live in such a way that I am awake to each of your wonders and nourished by your beauty. I cherish your precious creativity, and I smile to this gift of life. We humans have talented artists, but how can our paintings compare to your masterpiece of the four seasons? How could we ever paint such a compelling dawn or create a more radiant dusk? We have great composers, but how can our music compare to your celestial harmony with the sun and planets, or to the sound of the rising tide? We have great heroes and heroines who have endured wars, hardship, and dangerous voyages, but how can their bravery compare to your great forbearance and patience along your hazardous journey of eons? We have many great love stories, but who among us has love as immense of your own, embracing all beings without discrimination? Dear Mother, you have given birth to countless Buddhas, saints, and enlightened beings. Sakyamuni Buddha is a child of yours. Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and yet also the Son of Man, a child of the earth, your child. The Prophet Muhammad is also your child. Moses is your child. So too are all the Bodhisattvas. You are mother to eminent thinkers and scientists who have made great discoveries, investigating and understanding not only our own solar system and Milky Way, but even the most distant galaxies. It's through these talented children that you are deepening your communication with the cosmos. Knowing that you have given birth to so many great beings, I know that you aren't mere inert matter, but living spirit. It's because you're endowed with the capacity of awakening that all your children are too. Each of us carries within ourselves the seed of awakening, the ability to live in harmony with our deepest wisdom, the wisdom of inner being. There are times when we have not done so well. There are times when we have not loved you enough, times when we have forgotten your true nature, times when we have discriminated and treated you as something other than ourself. There have even been times when through ignorance and unskillfulness we have underestimated, exploited, wounded, and polluted you. That is why I make the deep vow today, with gratitude and love in my heart, to cherish and protect your beauty and to embody your wondrous consciousness in my own life. I vow to follow in the footsteps of those who have gone before me, to live with awakening and compassion, and so be worthy of calling myself your child. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. You know, and the world is beautiful no matter where you are. It's interesting, I was walking across the prison yard yesterday, and the sky was really, really blue. And there's some big pine trees outside. And just the leaves, the sky was so clear, you know, that everything was etched against it. Like the pine needles just stood out like they were drawn there. It was beautiful. And when I was in with the guys meeting, so one of them, most of you have heard me mention him before. There's one who actually is an ordained Zen monk. He ordained inside 20 years ago, or more than that now. Yeah, he's a very accomplished person, and spiritually. And then Stetson does this education program there. And part of what they're doing is they've got a garden. And so the residents, I try not to call them inmates because that's used to dehumanize people. But they're growing all of these vegetables and stuff, which they're using, you know, they get to eat them, but they also turn them over to the kitchen staff, and so they might get fresh fruit once in a while, or fresher fruit anyway. So he was telling me that they've got watermelons growing, and that they're hoping they're going to be ripe in time for the 4th of July so that everybody can have watermelons. Anyway, he was saying the most amazing thing, they have some sort of flower, and he was describing the flower, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was that was flowering. But he said it's drawing hummingbirds. And he said it was just incredible just to watch these hummingbirds come up and get the nectar from these flowers. And I was thinking, they don't know that they're in prison. They don't care. They just come in and go through their days. So, I think, Earth Day is something that we should probably pay more attention to as a society, I think. Although, a lot of people are observing it. But I think it's a good time to recognize that we're part of Earth, and Earth is part of us. I was reading some poetry. I'll be, it's the end of the year, and so I pray at all of these things. And there's a thing that I'm praying at that I've never prayed at before. In fact, I think it's a new ceremony. But there's a, now I won't go to it, but there's a ceremony that honors students who are the multicultural students from other countries and things like that. And a lot of them have special struggles. And so I was trying to figure out, what can I say as a blessing to them? And my boss gave me a book of poetry by this sort of collective of writers, and I was kind of looking through, and one of the poems starts out saying, you are made of stardust, which immediately made me think of the Joni Mitchell song, everybody, Woodstock, you are stardust, you are golden. But it's true, and I think it was like one of the astronomers, Carl Sagan or somebody like that, one of the famous astronomers who said, we're stardust, we're the stuff of the universe. And, and it's true. It's something maybe that we don't think about often enough. One time I listened to a talk by a woman who runs there's a lab at UCF where they invoke feelings of awe in people. And then they measure what happens in the brain when you're having this experience of awe. And what they used is sort of the ultimate, the ultimate awe inducer was they have this simulator of like they're putting them in the space shuttle. And so they see sunrise, they see the Earth as you would from the space shuttle, and you see the sunrise come up over it. Apparently, astronauts almost universally, when they have that experience, they see the divine. There's always this sort of awareness of the sacred when they do that. And I thought, when I read this poem, I thought, well, you don't need to go into a simulator and see the sunrise over the Earth. We're stardust. When we look at each other, we're seeing the stars. We're seeing that if we're open to it, if we're aware of it, and we allow ourselves to see that. And we don't allow ourselves that sort of thing often enough. So there's a good opportunity to do that. So anyway, that's all. That's what was on my mind tonight. Does anyone have any questions? Anything on your mind? Anything else you'd like to hear me talk about? Dharma related or otherwise?
Can you talk about the process of taking refuge?
Yes, taking refuge. Sure. So when you, sorry, I'm trying to monitor the chat on YouTube. When you decide that this is the path that you're on, and I try to remember to phrase it that way. It's not the path you want to be on. This is the path you're on. This is where you're headed. Then you can make a formal decision to go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So the way you do that is you come to me and say, I want to go for refuge. And I say, okay, write me about a one-page spiritual autobiography. It just kind of tells how you got to this point, why you want to do this. We call it an application, but it's not like you're going to get rejected. It helps me really come up with a Dharma name for you. So when you go for refuge with me, and varies according to where you go, you get a Japanese Dharma name. And it includes sort of two root words, one of them being yo, which means sun. So like in the Shin Buddhist side, I have 4 Dharma names. The Shin Buddhist one is Sekyo, which means stone sun. So anyway, you get one of those. The ceremony itself is fairly brief. And basically you say, I go for refuge to the Buddha, to the Dharma, and the Sangha, and you take the precepts. So there are 5 of those. You vow not to kill, not to steal, not engage in harmful sexual activity, not engage in harmful speech, and not use intoxicants to cloud your mind. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to, those are not commandments. They're guidelines. They're ways you can, things that you can look at as values to help guide your decisions, your life. So, if you, and they're sort of open to interpretation, right? What does it mean to not, the precept as it's traditionally worded, when you translate it from the Pali, it says, I vow to set my mind on not killing. It's actually literally not stopping the breathing, but it means killing. Well, what does that mean? You get to decide that. And we're talking about willful action. So, if you splatter a bug on your way to Buddhist services, that doesn't count, because it's not willful. So to not kill, and not take what isn't freely given, the sex one, it's kind of up to you. What's harmful, and it's not, we don't have a list of things that you can't do. Harmful speech is the hardest one for almost everybody. It's the toughest one for me. And the intoxicants one, doesn't mean that you can't have a glass of wine or something. It just means to be mindful of what you consume and how it affects your mind. So refuge in the Buddha means that you're looking at that as the example of how you want to live. It's not a divine being. It's enlightenment itself. So you're saying I'm going for refuge to my practice. Whatever comes up, I go to my practice first. The teachings, Dharma means teachings that also sort of means absolute truth. So, to truth in a sort of deeper sense, not just knowledge, but wisdom. Sangha is the spiritual community. And that works on a couple of levels. One is there are centuries of generation after generation of people who have studied with a teacher, achieved realization, of their own, and then carried that down to make the Dharma available to you. So there's that Sangha. There's also the Sangha, this the community of people who show up and practice together and support one another in their practice. Your spiritual friends. Not just people you like to hang out with, but the ones who are here to support your practice. And then ultimately, Sangha is all beings, just the whole earth. There's nobody who's not a member of your Sangha. They might not all know it, but as we see it, we're all headed toward enlightenment, whether we're aware of it or not. So we're all practicing together. Some of them just not doing it very well yet. So that's the process. Did that answer your question? I saw a hand. Were you going to ask me something? Go ahead. Yeah. So I should remember to do this because I can make you carry the microphone around and talk into it so the people at home can hear you, but I'm not going to do that, so I'll repeat your question, which is basically what does Buddhism say about the environment? So, the Buddha himself didn't talk too much about the environment in general because 2,600 years ago, I think probably humankind still sort of had this view that the earth could absorb a lot of mistreatment, because there weren't as many of us. But he was very conscious of not abusing animals and things like that. So, the Buddha didn't require his monks to be vegetarian. The subject was presented to him, and he thought about it, and he said, no, we need to be easy to maintain, because the monks lived off of what they were given, and so they didn't want to require their supporters to give them certain things or not give them certain things. But there's a couple of things stories that I think are real telling. One of them, the Buddha was headed into a town, and there were all these people headed into the town, and they all had animals, livestock with them. And the Buddha said, what's going on? Why are you all going into town and bleeding goats and stuff like that? Well, there's a new priest, and he wants a whole bunch of animals brought in to sacrifice, and in order to placate the gods or some such stuff, so that we'll all have good fortune. And so the Buddha walked a little faster till he got into town, and he went up where the priests were, and he was getting ready to sacrifice the first animal. I think it was a goat. And the Buddha walked up and said, stop. He said, you're doing this for good fortune. Good fortune arises out of good actions. You do a good thing, you get a good result. This is the law of karma. You do a bad thing, you get a bad result. Killing is a bad thing. You're about to create everything but good fortune. You're about to create untold negative karma as a result of what you're doing, which was pretty, when you think about it, was a pretty groundbreaking idea, because I'm sure people sacrificed animals all the time. And he said, no, don't do that. There was another occasion where he was going into a place where everybody was sick, and I think they figured out it was probably cholera from the descriptions of things. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong, why this was happening. And the Buddha realized that they basically had polluted their water and stuff like that. And so he had them really kind of clean up their act. And sure enough, everybody got better. So, we are stewards of the earth. And, and our job, really, we do practice for the benefit of all beings. So it's hard to be saying, may all beings be happy, and then do things that create unhappiness for others, right? So I think while there's nothing particularly scriptural that you could look at it and go, oh, see, Buddhists are environmentalists, there's certainly the tradition going down to that, to be mindful of how we live in the world. And right livelihood, the fourth factor of the Eightfold Path, whatever it is, I'd have to count in my head. It basically says the way you make your living should not cause harm. And so that's part of it too. In this day and age, right livelihood would mean trying to the extent that you realistically can, to earn a living in a way that's responsible to others, including the environment. That answer your question? Good. Anything else? Yes.
Well, you had mentioned your podcast, and the last one indicated that you were
So it's going to be on the same feed. I'm going to change the title, but it'll take a while for the new title to show up. Where are you listening to it now?
I just threw podcasts on my iPhone.
Okay, so Apple Podcasts then. Yeah. Huh? Okay, so an Insight Timer, I have to physically upload them, and I have been really busy, which is why there's not. Yeah, if you go. Yeah, so to those of you at home, the question was, where do I follow your podcast? And what happens when you change the title? So I create them on a platform called Anchor, which is actually owned by Spotify. And so they go immediately to Spotify. And then they also go to Apple, I think, immediately or very quickly, Google Podcasts, platforms that you probably wouldn't know because they're mostly in other countries. I don't know, there's something like 10 different platforms. Insight Timer, I have to physically do them myself. Huh? Yeah. So I'm going to change the title to Adventures in Buddhism. I'm phasing out Sariputta and Moggallana just because I got tired of looking up those stories every week. But so it's going to be basically the same thing, just different. Gives me more I can draw from in the setup stories at the beginning. It'll still be the talks. Most of those talks come from White Sands Buddhist Center. I give them there. There's another one, by the way, that you have to listen to on Spotify. You can't get it anywhere else because it's music plus talk. So it's a format that Spotify introduced, and they said, hey, why don't you try this? And I said, well, that sounds like fun. So I tried it. It's a whole lot of work. So I only get around to doing one about every month. But basically, I like music. I like music of a lot of different kinds. And I find, there's a spiritual intersection. So it's called Holding Up the Heavens. So if you're on Spotify and you look for Holding Up the Heavens, you'll get that. I think to get the whole song, you have to have a paid Spotify membership. So anyway, I'm going to produce a finite number of those. I have a list of what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go, okay, it's not worth the trouble. But, it's fun, though. It's a lot of fun. It's just the return on it in terms of number of people who can listen to it. I think I've better uses of my time. But it's out there. So. All right. Anything else? Okay. Then please stand. Three bows to the Buddha. Bow to the teacher. Bow to each other. And friends, I respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost. Each of us must strive to awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander this life. I'll see you next week.